Hey everyone, this is Sandy with Sewing with Sandy and Lone Tree Designs Quilting, and we're getting ready to kick off the new year with the Tula Butterfly Quilt Sew Along. I am planning to use the second edition for my quilt, and I am also planning to kind of follow this rainbow order with my own little twists on it. And you are free to do whatever color you would like to do. If you look in the book once you get it, at the very back, you can see that there is a color chart, and you can plan out how you would like your quilt to be colored. It's a mirror image, so whatever you do on one side, you're going to do on the other side. So keep that in mind. You can also see in the back here that she has the instructions on how they're going to go together. And Tula's instructions on this quilt are really excellent. It's very beginner friendly. And you can see here, kind of covered up the yardages, but you can see here the first month we're going to be working on these intersection blocks. And she shows you the cutting instructions are right here next to it. She's got a great little map of what it's going to look like. And then over here, it tells you how many you're going to make. And remember, they're mirror images, so we've got 2 each of 5 different types of blocks. Also tells you over here the unfinished size, and a lot of these blocks have 1.5 to 2.5 inch pieces, so a good accurate cutting and a really good accurate seam allowance are going to be very, very important, and we'll talk about those as we go along. I wanted to show you before we get started, officially started January 1st, I wanted to show you a little bit of how I organize my blocks. So this first month, you can see here, I've got these plastic trays from Dollar General. I also have these little trays from IKEA. And so wherever you happen to be, you can hopefully find some of these little trays, or maybe you already own them. They're just the perfect size for these blocks. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting out, remember I've got mirror images, so there's enough on each one of these trays for 2 blocks. So I've got an orange, I've got a peachy pink, I've got a yellow with some pink, and I've got my lime green with some turquoise. So you can see here in the plan, the rainbow plan, she's got kind of an orangey. She's got another orangey, which I'm doing pink because I want more pink in my quilt because I like pink. Then she's got a yellow. She's got a lime green with yellow in the corners. And you can see that I've duplicated that here. And then lastly, which I haven't got cut yet, she's got this kind of teal. And if you look back at the page of the front, the cover, you can see where these blocks go. There's an orangier one and a peachier one here, these two. I'll probably put my salmon here and my pinky one here because that pink's going to blend into the other reds and pinks here. And then I've got a yellow, and I've got the lime green with yellow, and then I've got this turquoise one, and I haven't cut it yet, but that's where that one will go. So you can easily just flip back and forth and see where those blocks are going to go in your color plan and kind of go from there. You'll notice in Tula's quilt here, she used this True Colors from a while back. It's gray with yellow in it. I did not care for that. And again, I love pink. So I used and fussy cut my little hamsters, and I've got yellow and pink instead of gray. You'll notice here, I'm not using all Tula pink. This is a batik, and I am gonna mix in some batiks, some solids, whatever I need to make it work. But you can also see that I've got a lot of Tula fabric in my other blocks, and that is my goal. I'm gonna dig out from the stash a lot of older out of print Tulas and incorporate them in these blocks. Notice the fussy cutting. Again, when you're using Tula, you've got a lot of opportunity for fussy cutting. Also notice that these pieces on this block, and we'll talk about this again later, are directional in the way that you lay them out. So for example, on this block, you can see the stripe, this piece here and this piece here. I had to cut my fabric in 2 different directions to get the stripes to line up. And if that's not important to you, perfect, no problem whatsoever. For me, I wanted those stripes to be lined up. So as we go on the blocks, you'll want to make sure you're paying attention to the layout and how those things are going to go together and whether or not you want to fussy cut to make that happen. So that's where we're at here with this first month, first week. As I get these in progress of sewing, I'll check back in with you after January 1st. But if you haven't already gotten your pattern, be sure to check with your local quilt shop. If they don't have it, they can probably order it for you. If not, you can easily find these online. Fat Quarter Shop, even Amazon has these. So get a hold of your pattern and be thinking about what you're going to use. Make sure when you choose your background that there's plenty of contrast between your background and all of the colors that you're going to be putting in your quilt, because you want your butterfly to really stand out. Notice here that there's a border on the top and the bottom in a contrasting fabric. You don't have to do that. You could make it the same fabric and just, let your long armor go crazy in there, or you yourself do some really neat quilting in those areas. That's kind of up to you. Also, I've noticed that some of the butterflies have this rainbow body, and some of them have a black and white check body and other options. So keep that in mind. When you get your pattern on the back, it will show you what you need for yardage for wings, body, background, border, and then backing and binding. And again, it's scrappy. So if you're going to pull from your stash, you can see here 7 yards for the wings. Well, you don't have to pull 7 yards on day one. If you're doing scrappy like I am, I just pulled some fat quarters and pieces of the colors I knew I wanted to use for the first 10 blocks, and that's all I have pulled out. Otherwise, if you start pulling all this stuff, you're going to have a lot of fabric to sort through. So keep that in mind. Alrighty, I will check back in with you after January 1st, but let's go with this. It's going to be super fun. I can't wait.